Yo, what's up, bro? It's your boy, Mike Muse. Welcome to the Conversation, the Mike Muse Show. I am so excited to be in conversation with my next guest. He's a vibe. You all met him previously, too, with the town hall we did with Gladiator, but he is here now just one-on-one. I'm so thankful that I have him one-on-one because he was very insightful, and I thought there was so much more I wanted to pull out of him. But of course, we had to balance the time with everything. But I'm glad I have him one-on-one now because this brother has range. And I gotta be honest, when he came in, he was a vibe. When you go see this video on YouTube, he is a cool cat. His style is kind of crazy. I'm gonna get into his style just a little bit. And he came in with the coolest crew. I'm not gonna say any names or what they're doing, but there's a little bit of scandal going on right here in this corner. And they are very controversial. And I'm kind of here for it. And so I'm gonna try and convince them once they retire to come on the show and tell me all this scoop of rebellion and all the things that's happening in certain industries. But with that being said, we're here to focus on my guy Fred Hechinger. What's up, my guy?
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Who loves Charlie XCX?
Yeah, of course you got to. Brat summer into fall into winter.
Bro,
all the
like
seasons.
this is Brat season. Like I think
know.
it's gonna be
I came
Brat
at it a little
era.
bit late. I will say, like, I missed. I saw her play and it was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was like the fall and everyone had their Brat summer. I was like, I'm gonna have a Brat fall now.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
But now you can have your own Brat summer because we are getting close to summer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So wait, are you a house head? Because I think Charlie's really interesting. She goes back and forth between like pop, house. Like, what kind of head are you? Are you a house head?
I listen to every
Pop,
kind
yeah.
of music. I'm like genre agnostic. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's good music.
Yeah.
And I like to bounce. I mean, I think my probably speaks to the insanity of my brain. Like I like to jump from genre, you know, soft music, loud music. I like it to go all over the place. Like a car ride. My playlist is hectic. There's no cohesion.
But I think that speaks a lot about a person of Constitution because right before audience, we're talking about what was playing just now was Charlie's XCX Guess. Was the Von Dutch. The Von Dutch or Guess. We've been playing both of them here. It was Von Dutch. But we were also too getting a kick out of Charlie X Guess song, and we were just talking about how you may remember, audience, she shot panties out of a cannon at the Grammys. Right? So she just has an interesting vibe. But before we were playing that, we were playing Drake's Nokia, right? And so that's the Mike Muse show. That's why I love you, bro. That's why you're such a good fit.
And you never know what time it is in here. Like you come in, and I guess it's like, I don't know, 1 p.m. and it could be 2 a.m.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Exactly. Keep the energy up, which is great.
Are you liking Drake's new song Nokia?
I haven't heard it yet.
Heard it?
No, I came right
let's
after.
Play it. Can we tee it up real quick, Jonah, for him? Can we tee it up? I want to get your reaction just a little bit.
When did it come out?
To some like maybe like a minute and 30. It came out, probably like a month ago. Probably dropped maybe like a month ago. So this is part of coming off. An audience, you're going to get a chance to hear this too as well. An audience, hit me up at I am Mike Muse, MUSNSAME, and let me know your thoughts on Drake right now and Nokia. And don't worry, comms team, we're going to get to the movie, Hell of the Summer. Don't worry. I know you guys get nervous. We're going to get to it. Do you like that
Are you
one?
gonna sing? Yeah, do you sing? Do you do karaoke?
I karaoke. I'm glad you edited
I guess
that.
karaoke is, in a way, not really, because I love karaoke, but I do feel karaoke is for people who don't really sing. Like, if someone's a good singer
Yeah.
and they start to do karaoke, you're kind of like, what are you doing here?
Exactly.
This is for the rest of us.
It like defeats the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I messed around. And don't tell me where you live, but if you ever in New York City,
I'm New York.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
Well, have you been to this? If you haven't, you need to go because for thespians like you, it's kind of what you're talking about. There's a bar in Chelsea that does like karaoke, but it's not fair because it's all freaking Broadway people.
I went to one of those ones, not in Chelsea, but I went to one, I think somewhere else downtown. And I thought it was just gonna be shared celebration of music.
Yeah.
And then people were like fighting for stage time. They were throwing people. I was like, this is the most feral, intense bar I've ever been to. Just
exactly
to sing Cats. Like I was like, someone's gonna die over Cats today. It was very
I think we
scary.
might have been at the same bar.
Yeah,
right?
probably.
But it's really what it was. I was like, there's like Mike didn't go. I was like, absolutely not. Like you guys are like serious. Like you guys fucking Tonys and things. Like
totally. I was back in the rehearsal room. Exactly. Yeah.
I was like in the church choir. But I feel like Fred, you could hold a little bit of a note though. I feel like all thespians can hold a little bit of a note.
I do love musicals. I don't know that I mean, it's funny, like, I think, like, there's the great, when you see a musical that really hits your heart, there's kind of no greater feeling. I saw Patti LuPone do Gypsy, and I think it, like, changed my life. I think it is one of the fundamental things that made me want to tell stories and be an actor. I was just, the expression was so open. It was, like, dialed up to 100, and I believed every bit of it, and it was kind of, I remember seeing it as a kid and thinking, this is how life feels, but no one talks or sings like this, and so I love musicals.
It's the energy. When a musical is done right, it's the energy, it's the costumes, it's the lighting, it's the vibe, right? It's a story between the two, which is also too the reason why it's different. But I love opera. Because opera is so big, right? Yeah. The costumes are so massive. The singing is so big. The staging is just so dramatic. And what I enjoy is that when opera is done well, pretty much after the second act, after intermission, I don't have to watch the subtitles anymore because now I can just tell what's happening based upon the emotions that the artists are emoting.
Oh, wow. I need your help because I haven't been to many operas.
Oh, come on.
Okay, great.
I at least go like twice a season.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your favorite opera?
This is going to sound super strange for all the opera heads out there. We get a little esoteric here. But my favorite
and the opera heads are probably crazy.
Yeah. My favorite is from the Ring series. Wagner.
Yes.
And the reason why is because that was my first ever one, so you can never forget your first.
Yeah.
And because it's so dark and it's so heavy, and everyone always told me, they say, if you can sit through Wagner in the Ring for 3 hours of hardcore German and not fall asleep and still enjoy it, like you're an opera head. And I was like, oh shit. So for me, it's always been Wagner with that one. Yeah. So
amazing.
Anything Wagner, I love. Yeah.
You jumped into the fire. You were like first right out the gate. I'm going to go do the longest, biggest opera.
Yeah, that's me, baby. Yeah, that's awesome. I think you're the same way in terms of how you approach roles too, as well.
I think you have to commit in whatever you do. I think you have to. I think there's sort of you don't want to take any shortcuts in this job, and I think. I love movies. I think audiences' time is really, really valuable, and like if you're gonna, and the crew and everyone that's gathering around to make something together, if you're gonna do it, I feel like you need to really, really go all in.
Talk to me a little bit about the idea of like respecting the audience's time. I haven't heard an actor say that before.
I grew up, going to the movies, and it's why I wanted to make them, and I love them so much, and it's a very special place to me. Those 2 hours when you sit in a movie theater, you can really connect with ideas and emotions that will affect your life. But sometimes I think movies are entertaining and beautiful, but I also think like they bring you to challenging places that hopefully make you see life with different perspectives. So I just think it should be worth something. And I believe in the theatrical experience a lot too. I want people to go to movie theaters. And I think if you're asking people to go to movie theaters, you better have something to show for it.
I never actually heard that perspective from the actor before in terms of like, I always hear them talk about being custodians of the character. I always hear them talk about being custodians of the plot or the storyline. But I don't want to say an absence, but I've never heard an actor really think about the audience as they are approaching a body of work.
My friend, who I love, said something about being the foster parent to the character you're playing, which is similar to the custodian idea, but he talked about how you're the only person that's really looking out for this character, and there's a lot of people on set that have a lot of care and priorities, but you're the only person whose only priority is that character, and so sometimes. Stories, plots can overtake character, and you can want. If we're doing the scene of this radio show right now, and it's more efficient for the scene for you to walk out the door, but we're still having a conversation, you want to do right by our character to keep having that conversation or figure out a way to make that work.
Yeah.
And so I do love that part of it where you get to kind of really focus on the whole life of this person that you're playing.
For you, do you approach each character different?
Yeah, every job to me, every character, every story is completely different. I think one of the fun things is trying to find what's unique about each part. In the same way that, I don't know, any relationship you have is probably a unique thing. And rather than trying to copy and paste the same past relationships, you want to find something new. You want to figure out what's special about this particular role or this particular movie.
Yeah. I'm curious because there's so for his team now insert Hell of a Summer, which is the movie that Fred you were talking about, and the character you play is the lead character. So congratulations to you.
Thanks very much.
Who is a 24-year-old camp counselor, and so that intrigued me.
Yeah,
the idea of this character. I think that the idea of this character is a metaphor for so many people that I know that can't let go of something good.
It's exactly our intention. I mean, Jason is, yeah, a 24-year-old camp counselor who loves his summer camp, Camp Pineway, more than anyone in the world. And even though he loves this place, he's at that age where he probably does need to move on for the first time. You know, he's not old, but it's the first time where he's older, and he needs to transition to that next part of his life. And I think that is a very difficult thing, you know, to grow and change. You always have to leave something behind.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. And it can be easy to say, you know, move on, whatever. But in practicality, at least in my life, to actually let go is like an arduous process. And also, like, I don't know, people are many things, beautiful, surprising, all of that, but also stubborn. You know, I'm stubborn. Everyone I know, and to some degree, is stubborn about stuff. And Billy and Finn wrote a movie where every character continues to be themselves. Once the horror movie aspects begin in this movie, the characters don't just snap into being classic traditional heroes. They're only heroic through their own eccentricities, and even sometimes through their own petty grievances and their own narcissism. Sometimes they don't just magically become perfect people.
I love how you said each one is a work unto itself. And as you said that, you absolutely are correct. An audience, even if you're not striving to be an actor or a camp counselor, I think we all can relate to things that we can't let go that's good, right? Like, that's why we love toxic relationships, because toxic relationships, the worst, we stay with it because sometimes they're so good.
Yeah.
Right? And you keep wanting that adrenaline hit of that, the good, and you know it's so bad, right? Or this job is, the money is so good, but I'm miserable, right? And it's affecting me and my family and my happiness and my loved one, right? Or giving up a snack or a treat. I used to have a bad Diet Coke addiction. And I was like 5 days, I had to wake up and say, you can't keep doing this. Like, you gotta let it go. But it tasted so good. But I would wake up and drink it.
Were there tricks? Like, how did you...
So I'm glad that's a really great question that you asked. As you were saying it, it was kind of funny. In my head, I was thinking it was because of my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
I watched her. She was one of my favorite human beings.
Yeah.
And she used to smoke. And I swear to God, Fred, one day she just stopped smoking. And I asked her, I said, Grandma, how did you stop so cold turkey? I mean, there was a nicotine gum. This was pre-nicotine gum. This was pre-patches, before we had this self-help stuff. And she said, I just needed to stop. And I just never got her resolve. And I've always been so impressed by that. And so that's exactly what I did. I just finally came to the decision that wasn't good for me.
Yes.
I made the decision to just stop, and I haven't looked back. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Which I don't know how I did it, but I think it was thinking about my grandmother. I think that's what was on me, just to have that resolve and stopping. But I think with your character, I wanted to lean into it more, and I think it's a testament to your acting, is because, audience, for those of you who may not know, these movies in general are shot out of sequence. Right? Yeah. So it's not like how we see it on the film. Like, the last scene could be shot on the first day.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's just a weird way that you Hollywood people do it. I think, like, Hollywood, that would be weird people. But what I was so impressed by you, the reason I couldn't wait to talk with you, is because you could see in your acting the evolution of your character when he was recognizing that maybe he should give this up. You know, I am a grown man playing a teenager at this camp.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how did you know, like, when to pick and choose those moments of what evolution should be looking like, because it's out of sequence?
It's an interesting thing, because, I mean, in preparing any project, there is an element of tracking and pre-production and rehearsal prep work where, because you shoot it out of sequence, as you said, you sort of think, okay, I want this trajectory here, I want this trajectory there. But I will say the most beautiful things are kind of the discoveries on set, where even though you're prepared in one way, something else and more true hopefully surprises you. So it's a mix of kind of conscious and unconscious. In this case, the script was so gorgeous, and the way that it tracked each character, the way that they changed, was actually not dissimilar from what you're talking about with your grandmother, where Jason is inspired by Claire, who's played by Abby Quinn, who's an incredible actress. And the way that she maintains her composure, the way she kind of insists on herself and also motivates him to change, I think is a mix of grounded and straightforward, but also at other times a little subtle, where you tell someone you need a change, but you also have to let them do it themselves. You know, no one can entirely change you. You have to want to. Yeah. It's like you said, and yeah. So there was a growth there, but it's also wild. I mean, you plan the whole shoot, and then crazy things happen that totally change how you do it. So there's an early scene in the movie where Abby and I are doing a walk and talk, and that was scheduled for later in the week, but suddenly it stopped raining one of the days. The clouds had parted, the sun was streaming in on the campgrounds, and we thought, let's just do this scene right now. It looks so perfect. So we did it in one take, and it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And I think you have to also be open to those happy accidents. I mean, Orson Welles once talked about how basically every accident on a movie is a blessing. Those are the times where the movie really snaps into focus. Because like life on set, a million problems arise, and the great filmmakers figure out how to use those problems to make the movie richer rather than kind of worry about them or just pause.
I like where Orson Welles into this, because isn't that a metaphor for life too as well? Like leave room for spontaneity.
100%.
Right. I think sometimes in life, the spontaneity is a goodness.
Yes.
Right? And that's, I think, when you're able to live. Try to think those who plan everything. I don't know if you actually are living life. Life is meant to be an adventure and spontaneous and energy and going with flow.
I feel like it's vulnerable to be open to change, but it's something that's beautiful. I mean, it's scary, but it's like you have to let yourself, as corny as it may sound, like to let yourself be changed. Yeah. And it's, and on a set, you're right, there's a kind of weird metaphor that helps life too, where you realize, something that seems like such a major problem today might be one of the best parts of the day, might be my favorite part of the movie. And in the same way with life, of, you figure out who you are in times of crisis.
Wow, you do. So Obama said something really interesting to this point about you find out who you are in crisis. And I've always said that I've always judged a person's character based upon how they react in crisis mode.
Yeah.
Like, when they're chaotic, can I go up and just ask them a quick question? They snap at me.
Sure.
I know that they're not of good constitution, right? Obama said something years ago, and he said that the Oval Office doesn't make you. He said that the Oval Office draws out whatever is already inside. And I said, for me, that was just so poignant. What happens when you get power, or what happens when you're in a moment of crisis, right? Or what happens when you get a taste of fame, or money, or you move to a new neighborhood, you get to figure out how. It's like, what happens to you in that moment? Like, what is out of you?
Yeah.
I love how you brought that out.
It's like a revelation of self.
Yeah, it is. And audience, you'll be really amazed by this conversation. Because I never know where you and I are going to go.
But this is the last time, too. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that when we were here for Gladiator, it was like you were having the most real conversation about politics and power, and we had just done a long press tour where we talked a lot about the monkey on my shoulder. So but I never know where we're gonna go.
I just love to have conversations with my guests, and I always tell people, I was like, I'm actually just a moderator of the story that you really want to tell. I don't plan any questions. Right?
Yeah,
and so, but audience, you'll be surprised that what we're actually are talking about is a horror film.
Yeah, and a comedy.
But it's a horror film at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know it based upon the conversation we're having. And I think that is how gorgeous, to use your words, of a script that these writers actually wrote. I think it's a testament to how great the acting is. Like, I don't like horror genres. I don't like horror films. But when so you use the word gorgeous, when I finished watching this film, I was like, this was so delightful.
Well, I feel that Finn and Billy really do care about their characters. So they built a character-driven movie at the end of the day. Yeah. Sometimes I said that this movie is it's a coming-of-age comedy that takes place at a slasher summer camp. It's the horror. There's horror movies that kind of wink and laugh and are a bit more nihilist in their worldview about all the death. They're kind of like, it's so funny to be at a distance. And I think it was really intentional for Finn and Billy to write something that came through the characters, that these people are that both themselves, and that it's sad that they're dying and that their life means something, and it's still a slasher movie, but so they had to juggle all of those things together, and they also love movies so much and the language of movies, the visual language, so they were doing all of those things together. But at the end of the day, I mean, we talked about Bottle Rocket and Rushmore as much as we talked about Friday the 13th.
You guys did. First of all, your use of nihilist and the word placement of that was brilliant. So that's not easy to drive into a conversation, nihilist. And so salute, my guy. Thank you for that one. And it was perfect placement, that one. I think, though, exactly to what you're saying is what makes this film so unique, right? And so fascinating when it comes to the dynamic. And what I was gathering, too, was this moment, and what makes it so unique was this study of gender that comes up so subtly, right? And there's a scene where they're talking about, I'm not going to give anything away, audience, with this one, but they're talking about oral sex. And the writers actually give a data and statistics. I don't know if it's true to science from pure research, but they give a data point of like the majority of time of, straight relationships, the woman performs oral sex on the man first versus the man or the woman first. And I just never thought about that, right? I was like, who thinks about this data point? But I thought about that data point for like 30 seconds. I was like, that is true. And then the movies I really went down a dark hole for like 30 seconds about statistics and oral sex. And then to find out the character is like studying gender studies.
Yeah, that's Finn's character. Chris is studying gender studies, and yeah, I mean, every character in the movie they built as people, who have their own, that they care about their own things, and they want to live better lives. And I do believe that, like what you were saying earlier about custodians of character and all that, it's like, great scripts do that on their own. They just care about each person. So even if you're in the horror genre, any genre really, it's still based around the actual characters and the actual the people that are in this story.
How did you keep your tension? Because you ebb and flow between humorous, silly, void of depth, while at the same time having depth, at the same time being empathetic, right? Like your character had to play this character that had so many different range.
Oh, Finn and Billy are like we met. We're supposed to have a 45-minute meeting, and then suddenly it was like 4 hours later, and like this, we're talking about all these different things, and realized that we shared so many influences and cared about so many similar things. And so then working together felt like such a natural extension of hanging out. I really trust them, and I just I love working with them and being directed by them. And I felt like every day we really explored and played, and in doing that you find a bunch of levels. You have to. Another thing about any job, it seems, but in my experience on making movies, is you really have to trust the people that you're working with. If you trust them, you will find and discover scenes in ways that you never predicted. To Fred. So enough Television Suburbs, enough of Jason, because I'm super curious about you, even more now. And what's making me say this is that, so in our morning show, we have, let's call it 5 Fingers of Death, or we have these MCs that come up and they'll freestyle. And I'm often bored by it because I hear it over and over and over. And it's the joke amongst the co-hosts. It's like, oh, Mike is actually liking this. This must mean it's really good. Now, I'm not bored by the genre itself, not at all. I'm just bored by the repetition of what's being discussed. But then every now and again, there would be this artist that will come up and have some of the most beautiful storytelling. And I began to ask them questions about like their constitution and kind of what it is that they're bringing to this microphone, because it's so powerful. And I think for you, I'm really curious, like, I've never been curious about other actors before, but like, what is it about your constitution that you bring so much, not just depth to your character, but like, you're just a fascinating human being. I don't want to overhype and lean into the nihilist thing too much though, but you just so casually drop nihilist. You just so casually drop Orson Welles. Like, what do you, like, what's informing you? Like, do you read a lot? Is it your travels? Is it your friend circle? Like, I'm just curious. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel that everyone is. I mean, you're also very fascinating, and I feel everyone here is fascinating in any conversation. I think so. I really do think everyone you talk to is.
No. And
really?
This is somebody who does a lot of talks with people. Not everyone is fascinating. sometimes I have to work to make people sing fast.
And find the references or the connections that.
Some people are just more naturally fascinated than others, and that's not being disrespectful to anybody else too as well. But and there isn't no one thing, right? You are a composite of many moments in your life, right? That's come up. But like, are you interested in philosophy? Do you read philosophy books? Like, did you have this religious experience where you're religious and then you became not religious and now you become, I don't know. Like,
I look at everything. I really find in the prep period of any experience, any job, and also just in your life, I try my best to keep as wide an aperture as humanly possible, because I think it is surprising what inspires us, and it's sometimes things you don't expect, and even you talking about opera makes me, because the little trips I've had with opera, I just don't understand it. I can't quite connect with it, but I know that if I could listen to it in the right way, maybe I would. It's like when I've noticed, like, when a friend will make a playlist, knowing that the music comes from them, you can hear the songs differently, so it's like the same as like if someone gives you a piece of clothing that's personal to them, it's like nicer to wear it. And so sometimes I think, whether it's philosophy or whatever you're talking about, sometimes I think, conversation and people you care about can sort of open up that study or that thing, so that again, it's personal, that you understand where it's coming from or why it might mean something.
I got it now. Not only are you curious, because I feel I'm curious. Some people are curious. But I think not only are you curious, but your thing is you love the exchange. That's what you enjoy.
I mean, both. I like to be alone too.
Yeah.
But I like both. I mean, it's hard to...
There's an exchange there that you like, right? But you just mentioned, like, there's something about wearing artful clothing, but I don't know if I'm getting something from you. There's something unique about that, right? There's something about, like, I can listen to music, but it's interesting when you send me a playlist, right? There's something about the exchange, right?
Yes.
That comes with it, right? And so there's a value placed on that.
Maybe, yeah. I also think that, like, words are... I guess when you were saying this stuff about... it's nice to hear that about the nihilism and that it brought something up, but I guess I do place less value on whatever that word is. Like, I'm also like, maybe I sound terribly pretentious dropping all these things. No. It's not, but what I mean more than that is like it's what we're trying to get at is whatever's underneath that. Like that, like sometimes I feel with language I'm like trying to say a bunch of stuff and it can work and you can connect and communicate, but sometimes like the most truthful thing is and is like is blasting Charlie XCX at the beginning of this and dancing to that or moving or so I don't, I guess to your question, it's like I feel connected to stuff by a vast array of things that are less to do with specific philosophies or even things that are intellectual or verbal.
I just think that I couldn't think of a better way to at some point we got in this conversation, right? Your team is gonna kill me and not gonna have to get back. I think it's just a way to end it. Like it's a life lesson, and I think for you and I and for the audience listening right now, that it's okay to be your authentic self and to show your truth and to show range. It's not too often people show range in what is possible. We don't have to be consigned to one thing. You can love and use the word nihilism and love and go to opera. And we can talk about Wagner, but I literally talked about panties being shot out onto the stage with Charlie XCX, and I love that.
Yes.
I just talked about oral sex. It's like you can literally have all these things, and it doesn't make it now.
That's something I love about movies, that it's a container. I've always liked it can be like containers for lots of different forms of expression and lots of different forms of art. That you can, music, poetry, all documentary can all go right into a movie, and it can be very varied.
But think about this, Jonah, what we've been talking maybe like 30 minutes. We've learned so much about you, but like in literally 30 minutes, right? That has a complete range. And so I think at least I'm going to walk away, so I'm sure the audience is walking away too as well, with this new information of who you are, right? And I think that is beautiful that we're able to say that in the whole range. And look, if you have conversation, you only talk about nihilism 30 minutes, go off, King, right?
Yeah. And I mean, people where they are too, right? Because
you show the range. I think when you show a range, you're approachable, right? And I think some people connect to art too. The more, I mean, you know this, right? Like the more vulnerable a writer is in an artistry, the more the audience connect to the work. That's why Billie Eilish is so great, right?
Yeah.
That's why Taylor Swift, that's why Beyonce is so great. Right?
Yeah.
Kendrick is so great. Like when you're honest in your words, right? Like the more people can connect. In an authentic way. And Fred, I've connected with you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Can't wait
Always.
for your next project.
Yeah, we'll continue this convo.
And I'm looking at his teeth, people, because we got to keep this going.
Yeah.
I think next time I'm gonna have two choices for you. Next time, I'd be curious to see what you take. I'm gonna have a glass of whiskey and then a cup of coffee, and I'm gonna see what you choose. I'll bring two of both. Right?
Okay. Depends what time it is.
Yeah. Time is relative. Right?
Okay, there we go. In this room especially.
Time is relative. And Frank, congratulations.
Thank you.
Everyone, please make sure you go see Hell of a Summer. It's out now. You will not be disappointed. And literally everything we talked about is literally in the movie, but it's a horror movie, but it's all the things that we also talked about before. So if you're not a fan of horror like I am, you're still gonna walk away being delighted by this gorgeous script. So thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Mike.
Until next time. Peace.
Oh